This week on It's Only a Movie, we're going to take a look at the 1982 classic John Carpenter film, The Thing.
This U.S. Station 31. You read me? Found something in the ice.
John Carpenter's The Thing was essentially a remake of the 1951 film The Thing from Another World. The Thing from Another World was based on a 1938 science fiction horror novella by American author John W. Campbell. That story was entitled, Who Goes There? First off, I think it goes without saying we're going to talk about some spoilers. While the entire cast is a solid group of actors, the main stars are Kurt Russell, Keith David, and Wilford Brimley. Kurt Russell, I think you'll pretty much just recognize him by name, but you could go back to Escape from New York, Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, Big Trouble in Little China, The Hateful Eight. Keith David was a solid actor known for They Live and more recently TV's Community. Wilford Brimley is probably best known for the movie Cocoon. Adrienne Barbeau provides the voice of the computer in the film. While it's currently considered a sci-fi horror masterpiece, when the film was initially released in 1982, it did not do well at the box office and the reviews were brutal. The film is essentially a story about a shape-shifting alien that can imitate perfectly any life that it can touch physically. That means dogs, people, anything it can get a hold of. Speaking of dogs, the dog Jed, who plays the main, I guess you could call the main character dog, he puts on a masterclass of dog acting. Just excellent. It's so good that in the commentary track, Russell and Carpenter talk about how great that dog was. The film is set at a U.S. research station in Antarctica. The film opens with two men in a Norwegian helicopter trying to chase down a dog and shoot it in the Antarctic wilderness. As the dog reaches the U.S. base, the Norwegian helicopter lands. One of the men in the helicopter accidentally blows himself and the helicopter up. The other man, yelling in Norwegian exactly what the problem with the dog is, begins to shoot at the American crowd. The Norwegian gunman continues to shoot at the dog, actually into the crowd of the Americans, at which point Gary from the American base shoots and kills the Norwegian man. Sadly, none of them spoke Norwegian, because if you read the translation that comes out of the movie, he tells them exactly why he's trying to kill it and the problem with the dog. The problem with the dog is it's not a dog. It's a thing. It's an imitator. Kurt Russell, a.k.a. McCready, being the helicopter pilot, and one of the doctors from the U.S. base wants to go and check out the Norwegian camp to see how much damage they could have done there. Upon arriving at the Norwegian base, they find it to be burned out, shot up, dead bodies, dead things intermingled with each other. And in one of the all-time great bad decisions, they decide to bring one of the, let's say, coagulated, joined bodies back with them for their other doctor to take a look at. And at this point in the film, the slow burn begins. Who can you trust? Who's a human? Who's a thing? How can we figure out who is a thing? The film has top-notch level practical special effects. One, because it was state-of-the-art at the time, and secondly, computer-generated effects weren't even an option in this time period. I would, however, put up the practical effects over anything computer-generated still to this day. The film provides an excellent claustrophobic feel because you're trapped at that Arctic base with them. There's nowhere you can drive to. At one point, the helicopters become damaged by Blair, played by Wilford Brimley, for fear of what will happen if the alien makes it to the outside world. The film goes from slow burn to an explosive ending, literally. And just when you think it's all over with, there's another question at the end of the film. Is everybody who's still alive human? Is one of them human? Is one of them not? We're going to take a look at that in another video in the future. The credited writers on the film are John Campbell and Bill Lancaster, who was the son of Burt Lancaster, who wrote a few movies in the 70s before his untimely death. Although the movie's considered a hit now, at the time when it came out, when it didn't do well, John Carpenter was actually penalized. He said he knows he lost certain directing gigs that he had lined up. He has, however, said this is still his favorite movie that he ever made. So if you're out shoveling snow one night and a friendly husky dog comes up looking for some pets and maybe some food, go ahead and pet him. Give him some food. I mean, the chances that are an alien are pretty low, right? I mean, The Thing was only a movie.